Welcome back to another episode of The Fox's Den, the first one of 2023. Happy February, happy Fibrary. I hope you're having a good day. So in this one, I thought it would be fun to skip January this year, and now that we're in February, I thought it would be fun to go through all of my current WIPs. I cleaned my craft room / yarn room in the middle of December last year. I threw away a couple of things. My cats are fighting, of course. I ended up throwing away a couple WIPs, and I found some other WIPs that I kind of forgot about. I'm really good at starting new projects, putting them in cute little bags, and then placing them somewhere around the house where I forget them. But I have them all here in one place, so we can look at them together. Before we look at those, though, I wanted to go through everything that I made last year because I didn't think I made that much, but I gathered it all, and it turned out to be a lot more than I thought. A lot of it was swatches. I made about 40 tiny sweaters last year. I'll show pictures of those because I don't have them all. I started selling them. Usually towards December I will sell them as like ornaments with little hangers. So I don't have them all. I have a lot of them still, but I will show pictures of each one. The first set was from the Encanto collection, then the Vulpine collection, Hades Town, and then By the Path. So there were 4 full collections last year, and I swatched all of them in tiny sweaters. So that alone was a lot. I feel like each sweater takes maybe a little over an hour to knit and weave in the ends and everything. So over 40 hours in tiny sweaters alone. Let's see. Starting smaller. There were 2 patterns that I made last year that I really wanted to type up, have tested, and release. I didn't get to do much of those, but the patterns are done. They're completely done. I have all the mathed out, and I just need to type them up coherently. So hopefully this year I can release both of those, but one of them was a pair of convertible mittens. I have not near me, but the double cable. My cats are fighting again. Of course. But the double cable knit gloves pattern is one of my best-selling patterns, and I wanted to for a long time make a convertible mitten version of it, so here she is. I love how beautiful they are. This color is Ginger Spice Cake from the By the Path collection, but it has one large cable and a smaller one over here, carried up into the mitten part, which is very nice. And then the thumbs have a little thumb opening. I guess I could also put it on to show you, it might be easier. This actually combined 2 of my previous patterns because I do have a convertible mitten pattern already, but it has a double brim, which is really cute, and it also still has the little thumb opening, so you can still kind of use your thumb and stay warm. And then I have sold a lot of them with buttons as well to like hold the flap down, so I think I will probably add those. We'll definitely add it in the pattern instructions. So that was done. Those are so cute. I love those. Another thing that I made last year was probably the first pair of socks that I actually got to fit me. But I test knit this pattern, the Sunday ruffle pattern. This is cat fur and everything. From my friend Megan at Poppy Joe Co. I test knit these for her last summer, I think. Look how pretty they are. This is foldable, so they can be a little longer or shorter. This yarn was a skein that I've been hoarding from Coast to Coast Yarn. It's called That's My Peach, I think. It was from an older collection, Ratchet collection, so I don't think you can get it anymore. But she is actually currently revealing colorways for like, I can't remember what she's calling it. It's not like a comeback collection, but she is having a collection of a bunch of previous colorways, so maybe it will come back. I don't know. You can keep a lookout on that. All of her yarn is amazing though, so would recommend. But yeah, I was so happy with these, and I just got these new sock blockers. I will link the Etsy shop below. She has a lot of amazing different designs and stuff. She does also have a fox one that I was going to get, but I decided not to. Just hydrangeas. I didn't want to go too crazy because I'm not really a sock knitter. I kind of want to be, but I'm not there yet, so I just got one pair of sock blockers for now. And the other one I am using for something else that I will be showing later. Last year was excitedly the first time that I actually had a trunk show in a local yarn store, which was very exciting. But I knit this up for like just for a display purpose to see how some of the yarn works up, and it looks like there's a pole in it. Don't worry about that. But I made this one skein shawl in Lakeside Cabin. I made it to show what you can do with a sock set. This is just one full skein of sock weight yarn, and I used a mini for these little tassels. They're so cute. But I wish I had a little more time to finish this because I ended up not doing a stretchy enough bind off. I would have loved to redo it. I don't know if it'll actually look weird. I mean, it looks kind of fine, but you can see maybe it pulls a little bit along the bind off down here. But I don't have any more of this yarn. Like, I used all of it, so I would have to take out the bind off and probably one extra row. Stretchy bind offs they use a lot of extra yarn. But these little tassels are so freaking cute. I also probably would have put more, like a lot more of the tassels if I had more time. But for display, I thought it was really cute. But yeah, that was fun. I don't remember how long this took, but I really like the way it came out, and I feel like I will probably make another one of these. Maybe with 2 full skeins though, because I do like longer shawls that can wrap around. But I was really happy with that. Another shawl that I worked on last year, designed, and released the pattern for is the Lianis shawl. I used my Anastasia colorway, and I made a special tonal called Stroganoff just for this. What is the best way to hold this up? This one is quite large. You can't even see it. But it is a giant, what would you refer to it as? Like, not symmetrical? Not symmetrical. Triangle shawl. It just grows and grows on one side till it gets bigger and bigger at the top, but the other side is just a giant cable that kind of looks like falling leaves. It's curling very slightly, but it's mostly flat. But the rest of the shawl is just like simple stockinette, and it's really nice to show off like any variegated colorway that you have. I think this took 3 skeins, or 2 skeins of variegated and one, like half a skein for this side, so you'll definitely have lots of the tonal left if you would like to make that. But this was definitely a very fun, kind of mindless project. The only thing you really had to count was when to cable, so it's just like straight knitting and then when to cable. But it was perfect for mindless knitting. Okay, I have 2 other things with me. First off, well, I do want to share one thing that I made for Christmas for my husband. It's a little cursed. I am not really good at amigurumi. I don't really have the patience for sewing all the tiny things at the end. I think that if I practiced more, I would definitely get better, but the things that I have made, I feel like they've upset me slightly. So I wanted to make him this thing from a video game that he plays. It's called a Stitch Face Turnip, and It just, a couple people have said it, so I'm gonna say it also. I'll show a picture at some point. But I thought that he was kind of cute. He was a little cursed, and he definitely reminds everyone of the shrunken head guy from Beetlejuice. So I can't unsee it, but he's a little cute. I think his face needed to be a little lower because his forehead needs to be bigger. Anyway, so I made that. So I do crochet sometimes. I have two other things with me now. One is huge, but I did actually last year finish my Hadestown blanket. After I made all the swatches, the sweaters and the little crochet square swatches, I used the rest of that yarn to make a blanket. You can just look how that fades together. Woo! I think this is definitely the most cohesive collection I've ever made. I don't know if I can repeat it. I just love this one so much. But yeah. It's pretty big and I'm very excited about it. Obviously, I haven't woven in the ends yet, but I still consider it a finished project. And I should probably weave the ends in now so that I can actually use it. Although I have a couple other blankets that I'm working on, but like, do you guys also get worried about knitting blankets out of like kind of expensive yarn, and then you have cats who just like use their claws every time they're on a blanket? I'm kind of worried about using it, but if it sits in a closet, then it's not going to get used anyway, so it's better if it gets used and ruined than not used at all, right? Is that like the knitting question of the century? No one knows the answer. The last finished object that I have is one that I am really excited about as well. It is the second unreleased pattern design that I made last year. I think I finished this in September, and I was so excited. I was like, oh, finally I will be able to test and release a sweater design before spring. The spreadsheet is done. I started typing up the pattern, and then I don't think I lost motivation. I don't really know what it was, but I don't know, I kind of slowed down, and then all of the holiday stuff happened. Some other family things happened that were quite unfortunate, so maybe I lost motivation. But I really hope to finish this soon. I don't know if I will test it soon now that it's like almost spring. And it'll be way too hot to wear it, but this is the sweater design that I made inspired by a colorway from the Hadestown collection. It was my favorite colorway, not that I can pick favorites, but it's called the Electric City, and it has cables again because I love cables. It's a raglan sweater with cables going down the raglan and yarn over increases, so it's like slightly lacy, has very wide sleeves that like cinch a lot at the cuff, and then let me open it so hopefully you can see it a little bit better. Where the sleeves separate from the top and the bottom, that doesn't make sense. Where the sleeve separation happens, the cables that went down the raglan side actually continue to go down the side of the body and under the sleeves, and then in between them there's even more of a lace section, and oh, I love the way this turned out. I designed this based off of measurements from a previous DK weight sweater that I made, and I realized too late, like once it was done, that for this one I used shorter interchangeable needles, like the shorter length needles. Usually I use the longer ones on circulars, and it made my gauge a lot tighter than I was expecting. So it is a little more narrow than I thought, even after I blocked it, but I still really like it. I might want it to be a little longer. It's like, it's not cropped. This is such an awkward frame. It's not really cropped, but it is a little shorter than I would normally wear sweaters. But I don't know, I might actually like the way it looks. I should just take pictures in it before it gets like too warm. It's like 65 out today and sunny. I'm like, in Virginia, maybe I already missed my chance to take pictures in something that's going to make me sweat a lot. But as usual, the ends are also not woven in. There's also some stitch markers still in there that I need to take out. But all in all, it's done. So those are my things that I made last year. Let's get into what is left. Before we switch over to all of my WIPs, my WIP pile, my current WIPs, everything that I have not finished, usually I give some updates about other things in my life during the Fox's Den, so I will do that quickly now, just as a little segue. It doesn't really segue into anything. But recently, what I am excited about finishing, I made probably the best croissants I've ever made. Success. This year is the year I make the best croissants. That's what my goal is. I recently finished, after 130 something hours, Persona 5 Royal. Highly recommend. It's a very long game, but I think it added like 30 something minutes onto the original, which, like, that's an entirely new game on top of an existing game. That's 2 games in one. It's awesome. If you like JRPGs, is it a JRPG or just an RPG? I don't know. You should just play it. It's very fun. Takes forever, but it's like worth it. There aren't really any boring parts, in my opinion. There is a lot of dialogue and reading, but it's an RPG. So, oh yeah. I am currently reading The Wise Man's Fear. It is the second book in the Kingkiller Chronicles, which there is no third book, and it came out like 10 years ago. I don't know why I let my husband convince me to read this, because I'm going to be upset when it's over, but I'm like 80% done with that, so by the next video, maybe I'll be on a different book. That's my quick recap of the year so far. Let's get into WIPs. Where to start? Should I start with the oldest WIP that I have? I think it's this one. Okay. I started this in, I don't remember. I think it was 2019 that I started this, and that's also the last time that I worked on it. So, but I still wanted to finish it, so I'm keeping it. I'm trying to see if I have labels for all the yarn that I'm using. I think I do. So I don't even have needles in this, I just have stitch holders. But this is the, if I mispronounce it, please laugh at me, not online. Just do it in your own time. The Maritimo tee, I think that's how it's pronounced. This is a pattern by Boylan Knitworks. Boyland. Anyway, it has a lot of lace at the bottom, which I got through. And then a lot of straight knitting, which I love straight knitting on circular needles. It is my favorite. And the part that I stopped is a couple inches after it splits off. This is like under the armpit, it'll split off, and then you knit the top, or the front half flat, and then the back half. And I got about this far on the front half. And then stopped. It's just not as fun to purl that much, you know? But I have been doing that with another sweater that I'll show soon. So I feel like I do actually really want to finish this year. 4 years later. If it was 2019. Okay, I want to make sure that I didn't switch any of these up, so hopefully these are all correct. But the bear, that looks so light. Can we get a shadow on here? It is definitely a very light pastel pink, but it's not really being picked up that well on camera. But this yarn is called Sea Spray, and it's by Birch Hollow Fibers. Robin is another indie dyer that makes a ton of beautiful yarns that I have a few still in my stash that I need to use. This minty speckled one that is not being picked up either, hello, is a Madeline Tosh yarn, but I guess the colorway is, if that'll pick up, Arthur 473. Their colorways are weird. Like, I don't even know if that's the only thing that looks like it could be. It says it's twist light on the back. I'm guessing that's the like yarn weight, like the base that they use for that one. And then the main colorway is one of my favorite hand-dyed yarns ever, and I got a very large amount of these. I designed a sweater with this like a couple years ago, and then got a bunch of fingering weight as well. I'm not sure that she still dyes that much or as often, but it's called Pretty Young Thing. I'll hold it up again. The colorway is Pretty Young Thing by the True North Creative, and it is my favorite. I'll show you those one more time as I pull this yarn. And then Sea Spray and the Madeline Tosh. I wasn't sure if I actually was happy with my choices of these two because I feel like Sea Spray looks like it could just be the same as Madeline Tosh, and I wanted it to kind of be like showcased more. I really like the way it looks, and I have a lot left over, so I know I can use it in something else anyway. Although I think both of those get used on the sleeve at the end, if I ever get there, which I will. I will be getting there. I'm gonna finish all of these WIPs. I don't know when, but eventually. I guess we'll go in order of oldest to newest. I just decided. So the second oldest one that I have is a yarn collection I made in 2021. I think it was my first one of 2021. It was the Cardcaptor Sakura collection. It was 6 colorways that were very, very spring perfect. And I still love them so much. I actually just dyed some up for an order. But with the leftover yarn after swatching, I never finished the blanket that I started. All of the squares are completed. I'm just joining them together with bare yarn. So I'll show you so far. I also have to remember the order I was going to attach everything in, because I think they got out of order in this bag, of course. But so far, this is what she's looking like. I also, for this collection, excuse me, it was before I made the tiny sweaters for these colorways, I knit swatches, and I really liked that I just added them into the blanket randomly. So they're mostly all crocheted, but like some knit squares as well, and I think it looks really nice. This is such a fun collection. Look how springy these are. Yeah.
Here's what I found.
I'm missing something. This next one is also from 2021. This, I think I shared in like one of my my last Fox's Den, maybe. But I started a second Serenity as a pattern design that I made inspired by Sailor Moon. And I started a pink one, of course. And since then, I have added a lot to this. It doesn't look like it, but there are so many stitches at the bottom that it takes like 10 minutes to do one round, so it's taking a very long time. And she's a little rumpled because she's so big. I'm honestly not even sure where this... Let's stand up. That does nothing for the camera. I think this is like almost long enough to cast off. I wanted this to be kind of like a long tunic, short dress, something that I could wear with like leggings or biker shorts that covers like at least the butt. And it's almost there. It's pretty long. It's getting very heavy. and I think this one will definitely be done this year, even though it takes forever to do just one round, but I'm really happy with that. I don't have as much to say about it, I think because I've talked about it already, and I have been working on it. It'll look like it eventually. What is next? I think this is next. Oh no, this was actually from 2020. This was before then. It was before I moved to Virginia. But I worked a lot on this during December I worked a lot on this. Kind of like the Maritimo, I got through most of this, and then when it became time to like knit the front flat, I kind of stopped. But also I moved at that point and worked on other things, I guess. But this is the wave break sweater that I've been working on. I'm trying not to pull everything apart while I show it. Oh, it's because I didn't actually separate what needles these were on that it's looking like a hot mess. Let me figure out how to hold this up. Look at how pretty that is. I think another reason this ended up sitting for a while was because I started in 2020 and we moved, and then shortly after it was like the weather started getting nice, the sun started coming out, and I really wanted to knit with like pink yarn again. This was just like, sometimes I can't knit winter colors during the spring, you know? And this is very winter heavy for me. Like if this gold brownsy color was with a pink, that's spring. But since it's dark green with gold, I wasn't feeling it. But I love this so much. I got so far through the front. I actually finished the front shoulder shaping. Since it's all on one circular, I can't really show yet how it's shaped, but yeah, that looks weird. But it is, so it's time to finish the back, which will definitely take some time because purling again is not my favorite, but I'm really enjoying knitting. I was really enjoying knitting this again, and I definitely feel a lot more motivated to get through the purls so that I can actually wear this. Obviously, again, I probably won't get to wear it until much later this year, but that's okay. At least it'll be done before then, I hope. We only have 3 more. It's almost done. I have never pretended to be a monogamous knitter. I just can't do it. But I feel like this is also too many WIPs to have at one time, and so I really need to finish them. This next one, I think I've shared like progress shots a couple times on Instagram, but I haven't finished it yet. I got through most of the body though. It is a simple raglan style sweater. I started this in my Fred colorway with my Freya colorway at the top from the 4 Cats of the Apocalypse collection. But the plan with this one is to make a sweater that is nice fitting, slightly oversized, and then duplicate stitch on the front and around the collar a little bit. So I don't have as much more to share with that because I want the design to be a surprise when I do finish it, because I will finish it. But it's going to be very cute, and it's definitely going to have cats on it, so I'll tell you that. Okay, this one I have shared before as well, and there's just so many things. Let's see. I'll just grab a handful. This one I have shared before as well. It is from my Encanto collection last year. After I finished all those swatches, I just continued making crochet swatches so that I can make another blanket. So that would be 3 collection blankets that I need to finish. But I have so many squares. I didn't actually finish swatching this colorway, so I have to finish that before seaming everything together, figuring out how I want the colors to align in the blanket. But I think for that one, instead of having like a bare border around each one, I'm just doing like an invisible seam between each square. So I guess I'll have to use bare yarn for that, but you shouldn't be able to see it in the end because it's invisible. Okay, last one for now. I have, hold on. I have mentioned before, I don't know if I have on YouTube, but I just have like the hardest time knitting socks. I would like to knit socks. They look fun. There are so many nice patterns. There's so much nice sock yarn. But I'm usually like a really tight knitter, but when it comes to using like size 1 needles, my gauge just becomes so loose. I don't know why. It's very unfortunate, but I have found that DPNs help a lot more than magic loop. I can't do magic loop for socks because they just come out so big. But my cast on is always like super tight. I think next time, I got a couple good suggestions for what I can try in the future, like using 2 needles for the cast on and then just go down to like 1. Or I might try to size up my cast on by like 2 needle sizes bigger or something and then use the normal needle size after that. But my cast on is always like super tight, and then the sock itself is like kind of loose. I have pretty big feet, but I feel like I always have to knit like the small sock size for it to actually fit tight enough for me to want to wear them with shoes. Otherwise, like, my feet just kind of slide around too much. They're like too loose and too baggy, and it's not my favorite. But I would like to change that this year. I know there are a few things I have to I guess test out more, because I've attempted socks like 5 times. Maybe that's not enough. But another way I thought would be fun and maybe motivational was to try self-striping yarn that I dyed myself. I actually dyed this and I'm very excited about it. I don't really like to sometimes I feel like I'm too humble to say that I did something well, but this was the first time I ever even attempted to dye self-striping yarn, and I am really proud with how it came out because look at this sock. Of course I didn't write down the amount of dye I used for any of these colorways, so I don't think I can repeat this exactly, but I might be able to get pretty close. But look how cool that looks. Again, this is the other sock blocker the matching one that I used from before. This is a better picture of the hydrangea pattern. Maybe that's not better. But I really like the way these socks are coming out. I just did a very vanilla sock, but instead of doing the heel that was in the pattern, I decided to do a peasant heel so that I didn't have to worry about the stripes like not repeating properly. And I really like the way this gold is working. This is Ginger Spice Cake, again, the same color way I used for those mittens earlier. And I really like the way it looks. So I'm excited to finish that this year, and I'm excited to make more self-striping yarn. And just like that, we have come to the end of my whip pile. So what is left? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 things that we are going into 2023 with that I would like to finish this year. I'm not going to promise that I will because I probably will cast on a few new things. But I also can't show them yet, but I do have all of the swatches that I am currently making for my next yarn collection. So that's at least 10 more tiny sweaters and another pattern that I started last year that I want to have tested and released for a collection that I want to have out like August or September. So it'll be a design that goes with that collection. Hopefully I can actually finish this one on time, please. So I guess technically 9 whips at the moment. But like I said, I think I will have at least half of these current whips finished before the year ends. I don't know about all of them. I'm sure I will want to start other things. People release such beautiful patterns all the time, and I buy them like immediately and then don't have time to always knit them. Or I have time to like start them, put them in a project bag, and then they sit. Hopefully I don't do that this year. I would really like to finish most of these so I don't have 9 or more projects at a time. But we'll see. But I am encouraged that I will finish at least half of these. I hope you enjoyed this ramble. I know it has been a very long talk about stuff. Hopefully you enjoyed this kind of video and are encouraged that even if you have a lot of WIPs, you are not alone. If you don't have any WIPs, hopefully you're encouraged to start some, or just relax this year. You also don't need to do anything. If you're feeling burnt out, because I know that that happens to a lot of us, especially me, it's okay to not knit for a while until you are finally motivated to try something, or pick up a bag from a corner of your house that has a project in it that you started years ago. So yeah, hopefully you're a little encouraged. I hope you're having a great day, a great weekend, and I hope your 2023 is as calm and relaxing as it can be. Bye, friends! Hi, friends! Happy February. Welcome to the first 2023 episode. Of course, when I sit down to start talking, my cats like to make a lot of noise, so